Albanian blood. Not a gang, need my hand like I'm John Alite. On my brain, Benjamin's like I'm John Alite.
Hey, welcome to the Johnny and Gene Show, another episode. It's my co-host, Gene.
How you doing, everyone?
So one more week, we got a really interesting guest here today. He's not a gangster. He's not a mobster. He's a guy that was a businessman, and unfortunately ran into some guys that we talk about in the mob, why they had such a lousy reputation. And he's gonna bring us and explain to us some of the things that he's been through with guys and affiliates of the mob. Gene, why don't you walk him through and ask some questions, and we'll go from there.
Mark, how you doing, man?
Hey, Gene, how are you?
I'm good. So, explain to the people, about your background and
what led me to think about it was seeing you on a show regarding Ronnie, and Ronnie on my mind for like, I don't know, let's see, 8 years. And he's so far from anyone that would ever have real wealth. The only people Ronnie really beat, and he did beat them again, are the feds, because he made so much money that, from what I'm reading, the only thing he gave was the house. But as an inmate, Ronnie was very easy for me to read. I read him blind. That's why it made him so crazy, and he kept plotting on me, because I read him blind, and it drove him crazy. I saw him coming 90 miles away. So when I saw, and even when I got home, I couldn't get him off my mind. And I'm really a businessman. I'm not from, I spent a year in MCC, a year in MDC. Those are pretty crazy places for where I'm from.
Right.
So having said
what's your background? What's your nationality, so people know?
Jewish.
Okay. And obviously you didn't go to jail for murder, right?
No.
Okay. You went to jail for business, money, crime, tax evasion?
Yeah, I went for a mortgage case, and
okay.
Unfortunately, in a lot of ways, it was positive, because there are steps I don't take today because of what I went through. Right. Versus a camp or or some of the mediocre places that the feds have.
So you had some dealings with Ronnie G, Gene's guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can come through.
Ronnie was going crazy because I wouldn't give him any homage. I'm a Jewish kid. I'm not an Italian. I'm not running with you. I'm not doing anything for you. Right. But I grew up in Brooklyn. I knew who was important to him. So I didn't give a shit about do this, go get my bag, do that. So it bothered him. One day, leaving the chow hall, he set me up with Fat Richie from the Benun family, and he slapped me in front of the commissary. And I was with Jimmy Lynch, and Jimmy Lynch jumped Ronnie, or Rich. He made it like he didn't really jump him, because you know what I'm saying. But he got angry because, first of all, you're bothering someone that knows what you're about. I know you made a big score on the street, and you were loud on the street, and you're loud in jail. And I knew you were in action in prison. You didn't fool me. I knew he was in action. The wife's coming. Forget, he had 4 dicks on human lockdown. He could have closed the place. Because that's how he acted. But he didn't fool me.
Right.
And he wouldn't fool anyone that I grew up with in the business world, ever. And I knew even then that he was only going to come home to a case. And when I had him on my mind, I got a message to me. The guy said, "Look, be careful. Some sick kids running around with him. Better leave it alone." And it just so happened, life is so short. It was you.
Right. I did a lot of work for him. And it's so funny, Mark. You described him perfectly.
But please let me finish, because it's very important to my heart. I get nothing out of this but sharing it.
Right.
That yo-yo never, ever fooled me. Ever. He was upset that I wouldn't, because I was from New York, and bro, who's this father in the union. Who's this? Who's that? Let me get close. He ain't getting close to me. The guy's who's plotting on an 85-year-old old man, Joe Desi, in my unit. The guy couldn't breathe from him, abusing him, because he wanted to be who he wanted to be someone that just ends up staying in prison, really, more or less.
All right.
Because he was boisterous, and I knew whoever was visiting him about street happenings.
Right.
And that's
yeah. So, in your experience, I mean, was he a tough guy in jail? What was he?
No, they knew that he had them mentally convinced, and he had little kids around him running comings and goings, and trying to recruit kids in the jails, to be his friend. Low life. You could tell he came from a trash pail. I knew it. I saw it. With his kid wanting to be in his life, coming, visiting, like they're going to church or something. You'd be ashamed when you go away.
Right.
Didn't you have an incident with a Spanish guy in the prison where you were there?
Say that again. There was a major incident, major. And I got to tell this to you, Gene. You're going to love this. You ready? He went one day. You listening?
Yeah.
Ronnie slapped me. And
you're a regular guy. You're a civilian. You're not really a street guy. You're not a fighter. So he knows that, right?
Right.
He knows that.
So he slapped me, and I didn't go down. My ears were ringing, but prison's a very small environment.
Right.
So believe it or not, after I tell you what happened with what he did, it led to another problem. A kid that lived in my cell came over to me. He said, "Did that man put his hands on you?" I said, "Yeah." The kid didn't ask me for a tuna, anything. He went to Ronnie, and he told him, "If you continue in any manner with this kid who's minding his business, he's a Jewish kid, he's not in your world," that they were going. He brought like 5-6 guys. Where Ronnie came with Bruno and Delicato and Louis Valerio and a few other guys, and all of them backed up like there was no tomorrow. And after that, everything. In fact, I was playing cards with a guy from Boston, and he was telling me how Ronnie ran backwards. That's a true story.
Wait, so he wouldn't go after the Spanish guys, but he would put his hands on you. He didn't want no problems with them.
No.
And you're talking about Bruno. You're talking about Sonny Red's son, right?
Yeah.
Right. And what happened? These guys were all mad at you. Why? What was Ronnie mad at you for? Why did he hit you? What was the reason behind it?
Ronnie felt that I wasn't giving him any respect. I wasn't, I wasn't, I had nothing to do with the guy.
Mark, let me stop you. Let me explain something. I know, because we know each other, and you know that you're a businessman. You don't claim to be a street guy. So he became a guy that thought he was a bully, a typical guy that's not trying to be a tough guy by hitting a guy that's not a fighter, don't supposed to be a fighter, is a businessman. You didn't run your mouth to tell him how many people you know from the street, like, Alphonse, or myself, or anybody. But let Gene tell you about how tough it is. Gene worked for him, and you know the background what Gene did.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This guy never shot a gun. He never killed nobody. He never even, as far as maybe the only person he slapped, I'll be honest with you, was Angelo Moshe, and he was harmless, good guy. It was his friend, and he hit his friend. And that was one of the only guys assaulted in his life. I did all his dirty work. I did all his collections. He couldn't make $1 without me when he was in jail because nobody would pay him. It's amazing that you said that because I know he tries to use his button, as you want to say, whatever you want, to make people like he's the guy. He always wants to be the guy. Anyone that he feels that is going to be a threat to him, he'll ultimately try to push you away or try to embarrass you or belittle you because he hides behind that thing. So everything you told me in a ball and one, I know how he is. He'll hit you and think that no one's going to bother him because he's a button guy and he got all the little guys behind him. Right. I know the situation with him. I know how he is. I worked for him for years, and I know the kind of person that he is. He's a no-good bastard. He cares about nobody but himself. He doesn't even want to hang out with his kids in the street. He didn't want anything to do with them.
No, the most important thing that he doesn't have, he has no respect.
Right.
Even from the business world. If a guy's an elderly guy, I guess he chose that life. Even elderly people, he was abusive. But I just, my regrets are not telling him, but I hope he hears that it was like reading an open book. It was
Well,
like,
you know what it is, Mark. You're not supposed to fight him back. And in your behalf, you're a gentleman. You're a businessman. That's not your life, but it is Gene's life. So when Gene's telling you these stories, Gene told me one time about him, and this is the best way I could put it. Gene told me Ronnie G never threw a rock through a candy. In
Right.
other words, it's not about anything. But now, if you get a Spanish guy that steps to him, he didn't want no part of it. You know why? 'Cause the Spanish guy doesn't care about whatever nonsense. He's really from the street. And when you run to a real street guy, he's out of hand. And if he was home tomorrow, and me and Gene went to see him, and told him, you know what, you're not Gene's friend no more. The only reason why you made me, and we want $2 million. We're gonna take the bag. He's got two options. One, go to the police and tell on us because that's the only thing he's going to be able to do. Or two, run away and move. Because option number three, putting a pistol in his hand and doing something about it, he's never done it.
Never.
So he never done it the first 40 years in his life, how old he is now, 46. So it's not like all of a sudden he became a born-again Christian and he's going to grow some balls. So the reason why we really wanted you on the show is to show people what kind of cowards these guys are. Because the mob was built on helping people originally when it first was in existence, not on trying to bully the weak and abuse the weak. And just what you said, you're an intelligent guy. So you can tell a guy he's an imbecile. You can tell the guy doesn't have a brain in his body. And the only reason why you think that much for guys like Gene. And if Gene's not standing back and holding his hand like he's his father, the guy can't exist. So
that's definite. I knew that he had someone like. In other words, you could tell he wore that persona that he had someone, like.
When I came home, Mark, when I got out of jail, Mark, he had a deadbeat list of like hundreds of thousands that he couldn't collect. I made sure every dollar was there. When he came home, he didn't give me $1. He didn't give me $1, and I had to make the money on my own. And that's the kind of guy that he was. Okay.
Gene, why'd you do it for him? I mean, what reason? What made you want to be so loyal to this guy?
Well, one, he was like, I looked at him as like an uncle or brother. I was so tight with him. I thought that's how he looked at me. I didn't know it was just all business because it wasn't. I hung out with him every day. So.
Oh no, he's all business, and whatever bones he didn't bite, he'll drop.
Well, I can tell you one thing. We had a guy in our crew who was a real tough dude, and he did one thing. He took a picture on the internet, and he got mad because his truck was on the internet with the kid. And Ronnie flipped out and goes, "Oh, go to the house and take the truck back." I'm like, "Why are we gonna do that to him?" I says, "Come on, I don't give a fuck. Take my truck back." He made me go to the kid's house, take the truck back from him, and embarrass the kid. And that was like his good friend. And this is the kind of guy he was. Any little thing, he just wanted to be like, he wanted to show he was the boss. You know what I mean? And that was his problem. And guys like me that would do anything for him. I mean, literally, I shot people for him. I tried to kill people for him, beat people up, rob everything, and got nothing out of it, man. He was a real piece of crap. And I'm glad you came on and told people what he is. To assault a man that knows he ain't gonna hit him back. He did the same thing with Frankie Car Wash. Frankie Car Wash knew he couldn't hit him back. You know what I mean? But Frankie Car Wash should have hit him back. And he did the same thing with him. He hit him and knowing that he'd get away with it. And that's the kind of guy that he is, Mark.
I think he gets that boisterous come on with the slap from the uncle.
Oh, Vinny, of course.
I think he that's the only thing he comes on with a boisterous. You know what I'm saying? But I hear what you're saying, John, regarding the other. I got it.
Guys, have you got any other guys? I mean, I know you have, but some other guys you had some dealings with?
A lot of guys. You'd have to be more specific. But you'd have to be more specific.
Jackie knows.
Yeah, Jackie was my cellmate. Yeah.
How was the relationship with you and Jackie?
you know, he was a tough guy to live with, but you know, he got the short end of the stick in life, I guess. So what could I tell you?
But Jackie's pretty much of a harmless guy.
He's a nice guy. I met him once at the, you know, where I told you by a happenstance. He's years ago, before we even were, you know, he's harmless. Wow.
And he was an acting boss. I don't understand that. Why? Because his nose was big. They made him the boss.
So, you know, in life, Mark, people know when a guy's insecure and he's not really tough, he tries things to make himself look tough in front of other people. So, you know, the weakness is the guy that does that. A strong guy, it doesn't need to do that to show he's strong. He already knows he's strong. He doesn't have any point to prove by doing that. Actually, it takes away from that person. Anybody with intelligence knows that. Anybody from the street knows that. So when he comes home eventually, I'll give you an example to show how tough he's going to be. So, you know, everybody has a day, and that day will come. And, you know, he's getting away with it now because he stays with the little dumb kids that run around for him. But when you got to put in that own work yourself, there's nobody home to put the work in for him. And, you know, everybody's card gets pulled eventually in the street. And his card will get pulled. And he's lucky so far it hasn't got pulled because he hasn't gone anywhere serious. And when he ends up serious company and he loses friends like Gene, and he ain't going to stand up.
Yeah, he's not coming home to that. He's coming home to what he saved, really. He's done.
Right. Oh, right. You're right. He's losing everything right now. Nobody's out there. They're all beating him right now. He's got nobody to scare him with. What's he going to say? I'm going to send Pudgy after you? They would laugh. Ah! I'm saying nobody cares about this guy. You know, it's like he ain't got nobody. So it's like, you know, he's getting robbed. You know? His uncle's old. He's gone. You know, that was his threat, Vinny Asaro. That was the only threat that he really had besides, you know, with me in the street, he would say, oh, I'm Vinny's nephew. You know? People respected Vinny.
Well, Mark, you know, so you understand, Gene will tell you also, because he was around with them. That was his crew. He didn't take care of his own uncle. His own uncle that put him into life, helped him into life. He didn't take care of his own best friend. He didn't take care of anybody. So what goes around eventually does come around. You know that through life. And somebody's is gonna take care of him one way or another. Hey, and he's gonna get what's coming to him eventually. I've seen it. I've been on the street my whole life.
Hey,
he hasn't money to the guys yet.
Hey, Mark, I'll tell you a funny story. So the Latanza heist happened. You know, Vinny got locked up with his son. You know, they locked everybody up in 2014, right?
Right.
So now Jerry Asaro's a skipper at the time. Jackie's an acting skipper. They got John Rangano, and they picked up Vinny. Now, John Rangano got no money. Vinny Asaro got no money. Jerry got no money. Jackie got some money, but Jackie's on the case. So Jackie goes, listen, don't worry. I'll take care of Vin. I'll pay Vin's lawyer. Just pay Jerry's lawyer. So for Ronnie, pay Jerry's lawyer. Now, at the time, Ronnie's making about $30,000 to $50,000 a week consistently. So,
nah, he wouldn't give $5,000.
Right. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't give $1. He wouldn't give one. Me and my people, my friends, had to chip in to pay for Jerry's lawyer. And the only thing Ronnie said was, I hope you don't go bad. And this is his first cousin and his captain. So this is the kind of guy that he is. And this is what I mean about the life, how it's so disgusting, that me and my friends had to go and chip in and pay for Jerry's lawyer. So that's how you know what kind of guy he is. So that people know the big Ronnie that everyone seems to like. You know.
No, he's not big. I knew outside of those gates what he was. He was a mutant to me.
Right.
Mutant.
Right.
Could never come near me in the streets. Never. Never. Legitimate streets. You know, working. You know, using your brain, not. He was on a one way to hell, that kid.
Mark, you know, really, we do this show for a reason to tell people exactly what you're saying. To use your brain, go to work, stay off the streets. These are the guys that you're going to be dealing with on the street. Most of them are, you know, low lives, frauds, not tough guys, con artists, and you know, not the real deal. And eventually, like you said, you know, that some of the people that are dumb or they don't understand the life, they follow that. They look at that the smoke and mirror crap, and then you look at the guy and you say to a guy, okay, you want to be a gangster, you want to be Albert Anastasia, you want to be anybody like Luciano, you want to be one of these guys, well then you got to do a couple of things. You got to
Hey.
dress the part, you got to act the part, and you got to beat a part. To beat a part means you got to go through that door when there's 6 guys against you. You got to be a shooter. You got to be a guy that's been taking beats and shot and stabbed like everybody else that's really from the street. But you make your way, none of those things happen. So you can run around and play ball, smoke a cigar, and play that part. You're not fooling guys like myself or anybody else like Gene or somebody. Somebody like you that's very intelligent. He's not fooling you either. And I think, like I said, that's why he didn't like. He had no idea you knew all of us. So you're more of a gangster, stand-up guy than he could ever be by not even throwing names around. And if you do like Little Fonz or these guys, they rip you apart. So.
Oh, yeah. Forget it.
And that day, trust me on this, because I've been in the street my whole life. That day will come. And when it comes, I told you, he's got 2 options. He's got to go to the police or he's got to go run and hide. There's no third option on that guy.
Wait. He tried, when I went to Florida, he tried having Jen Vincelli call, because I had my truck in her name, and he was telling Jen Vincelli to call the cops on me. Because he didn't get the truck. I swear to God, it's a real story. He tried to tell Jen, report the truck stolen. Jen goes, I'm not getting my nephew locked up. He goes, report the truck stolen. I want you to report the truck stolen. He stole your truck. We'll call the cops. This is a captain? This is the guy that...
He was probably a terrorizing menace to society, I believe, in that town, wherever he was.
I know, you got to remember, I know these guys since they're kids. I know everything about them.
Right.
So I know what they're about. I know they never did nothing. So, the point is why I don't like most of these guys, because they never stop running their mouths and they never did nothing. I'll respect him if he was a tough guy with another guy, not you. But that's not possible. He needed Gene to do that.
Right. Everyone knows that I did everything for this guy. Every single piece of violence that was committed for that crew is from me. Every single piece. So anyone can say what they want. I did every single piece of violence for that crew. So that's why I don't even care. He's a clown, bro. He'll be in jail.
Expect the guy, Mark, to be a decent guy to you when he can't be decent to his good friend. When he can't be decent to his uncle, when he can't be decent to his cousin Jerry.
Yeah, in other words, Gene, you could tell that he was only there because his uncle got him to where he was, and even still, he didn't respect him. Yeah, like you're saying, John.
He might have got there because maybe he did throw that rock through his storefront that Gene said that he didn't know about.
Right. One other guy that did a lot of work for Ronnie, I'm not going to leave out, was Ricky Kessler. And Ricky did a lot for him, and look what Ricky did. Ricky hated him. And he did the same thing to Ricky. Vinny Rossetti. Same thing he did to Vinny Rossetti. Vinny Rossetti said, I cooperated to get away from him. That's how much he hated this man. Ricky Kessler, the same thing, was beating guys up for him, doing a lot of stuff for him, and hated the man because this is what he does. He's just a bad human. And a lot of people don't know how he really is. His 3 closest friends was me, Ricky, and Vinny. We all went bad against him because he hated him. People, you create like hatred towards this man, and that's how he is. So you describe him to a T.
But I can't believe. I want to go back. He actually told that girl, Gene. He actually told the girl to call cops on you.
Everybody in Howard Beach knows when I speak out of my mouth, I don't bullshit. Jen Vincelli is my aunt. She had my truck in her name. He went to Jen and threatened her and says, you better call the cops and report the truck stolen because I got him for $300,000. So he knew he couldn't get the money back, so I told him to go fuck yourself. So he basically told Jen to call the police on me.
So he's a rat. Right.
Nobody says that.
Well, I just said it. He's a rat.
Right. So it's like they pick and choose. Pudgy did an appeal bail against me, Johnny. He did an appeal bail against me. And you know what he did? He put in all crimes that I committed for the Benun crime family. That my prosecutor goes, he's going to get in trouble for this with his people. I don't know he knows what he's doing. And he was actually putting crimes that I committed for the mafia. That's how dumb he is. So this is what I mean about them. They just lost, and they never been in jail before, and they were doing anything. So this is what you get, So it's a joke. Mark, man, I got you corner, man. You describe what he is. He's a mutt. That's what he is. And he pick on a guy like you. You're in there for fraud. You're not for nobody. That's what he is. He's a punk.
Obviously, we're friends for a while. We're going to be friends for a while. When he comes home, you're going to come with me, and I'm going to tell him, go ahead, slap you again in front of me and see what happens.
All right.
See what kind of guy he is. We'll see if he's man enough to slap you.
Right.
Because he knows if he does that, what's going to happen next.
Right.
And then I'll show you about the history of this guy.
Did he ever tell you what happened, Gene? Or he never mentioned it?
He told me that he had a beef with the guy from Canada. The boss from Canada was constantly complaining about him. He was with the boss from Canada. They said he had multiple beefs in there with him. Everyone hated him. They said he was the most hated guy in the jail. He hung out with one guy named Joe DiCario. I'm sure you were in there with Joe. You were in there with Joe, right?
Joe who?
DiCario. That was his best friend in there.
In Fort Dix?
Yeah, it probably had to be Fort Dix or maybe North Carolina. I'm not sure, but he was with the guy Joe, and that's who he was with all the time. And then he was with Frankie with the car wash in there. So he was only hanging out with a few people in there. Everyone else hated him.
When I was there, he was mostly spending time with Eddie Boyle in Fort Dix.
I think he was also with the kid Pekka too. Wasn't Pekka in there?
Not when I was there.
Oh.
He was with Eddie and a bunch of other guys.
Right. Well, like I said, this is how he is. This is the guy that he is. This is what people don't understand. They try to make him like he's, well, everyone where I'm from knows what he is. They hate him. But, like other people think like, oh, Junior, you have no.
He had a maid in there, a cook, this, that.
He didn't have 2 quarters to rub together in the real era. When the guys were out killing and shooting and robbing back in the 80s and 90s, he told me himself he didn't have 2 dimes to rub together.
Oh, yeah. No. It's very easy. That's why he didn't do anything for you. Exactly. Right. Because he was brought up so grounded.
Hey, he told me one time that they did a score, him and his cousin and them. They robbed a whole bunch of weed and they didn't give him his end. He goes, they didn't give him my end. I says, what? He goes, yeah, they didn't pay him.
There's a guy, Eddie Sapienza, who's a Wall Street guy. I don't know if you know him, Mark. And he owed Ronnie $50,000.
Right.
He came to me with like a little schoolboy, and he says, "Can you help me get my money?" Kidding me? You can't get your money from him? And he said, no. He went to see Eddie, and Eddie told him, "Oh, never come here asking for money." Now, Eddie's a nice guy. He's a money maker. He doesn't pretend to be a gangster, but Eddie did tell him, "Get lost or I'll hurt you." And he came running to me and asked me, "Can you please help me get my money?" Not only did I get the money from him because Eddie's friendly with me, and Eddie said, "John, I don't want to give him $1." And I says, "Well, if you owe it to them, you got to give it." Anyway, when I go to hand Ronnie's money, I took my and Ronnie goes, "I can't even get it." Like, so when these guys are playing this role pretend, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe you're a bastard, but I'm not, and the same way I'll talk about Eddie. I didn't go to Eddie Bradley, kid. I just asked him, and I said, "Owe the money," and I don't respect the guy. But this guy's not capable. And the shame of these guys are trying to protect themselves as the tough guys. When they literally, what I said, it's not like somebody you could say, well, he did do some work. It's not. It's the guy that actually lied to Dean and the only work he ever did was shoot a girl. And you're not embarrassed saying that. He didn't do it. And the second, you should be embarrassed. So one day he's got to come back. And he's away, but he's got to come back.
Right.
And, things change all the time.
14, 8, those kind of numbers, yeah. That kid, if they ever gave him 30, 25, I think different story.
Of course.
These aren't numbers, but they're not going to get those numbers because he never cracked an egg. So how's he ever going to get that number? The only guy who's going to get that number is him.
Yeah, I had all the shootings. I was facing all the time. I had all the bad crimes. They had shit. My one friend that was in our crew, I'm not going to say his name. I love the kid. And he had balls. He was a real tough. He would have beat the shit out of Ronnie. He would have beat Ronnie up over the streets. But he respected the life. And he didn't like this kid. He would chase the kid away. And the kid had more balls than everyone that was around him. And he would have beat the kid because he was jealous of him. He knew he had balls. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the guidelines? You know the guidelines, Mark? Federal guidelines, they go by. If you look it up.
I was a little surprised on the 14 on that. I would have thought when I read that he would have gotten 20.
Well,
I think he did exceptionally well.
He did.
With the 14, in my opinion.
Well, no one knows the case better than me. He was supposed to get 20, but they told him basically you're going to give us this much, that much, or, you're getting smoked. You know what I mean? That's what it was.
Yeah, but what I want to know is, since the only violence he has is slapping somebody, what is that on the guideline, slapping somebody? Is that like is that even considered an assault? I want to know what they give for that. Is that the prerequisite to become a made guy now, to be a gangster? You slap somebody? Or maybe get 6 guys to jump one guy?
No, sit in the car while his cousin shoots the girl.
I tell you now, I can't wait till he comes home.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the first guy to throw a party. He's got a lot to look forward to. You better do a lot of push-ups in there. So, and then he can come see me and tell me how tough he is.
Mark, man, thank you for coming on, bro. For real,
Hey,
man.
listen, Mark, he'll have nightmares. Trust me.
Yeah. All his money's getting robbed by now. He's sick.
Yeah.
Guys, nice. Thank you for having me.
All right, Mark.
Hey, Mark, sorry about your family, really.
Yeah, Pops, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See you,
Thank you. Thank you.